guys, and welcome to Simply Made by Erin, my crochet channel. Today we're making this adorable rose applique. These appliques were originally designed to fit around the button on my button closure towel holder pattern. You just fit it right over the button just like that, and you have a cute little flower. I have two more flower designs so far, a daisy and a sunflower. I'll link those above, and I plan on making some more seasonal designs, so stay tuned for those. Besides the towel holder, you can also use it for bag charms, garlands, sew it on baskets, planters, really whatever you want to use it for. It has many, many options. You can do the open center that fits around the towel holder button, or you can close the center off. Both look just as cute. So if you have my original towel holder pattern, it's the 2-ring version. I'll pop a picture up so you can take a look. With that one, you'll want to just sew a button on front of the holder. It's kind of like a faux unusable button, but then you can remove the flowers out for each season. You can also just sew it right on, but then it won't be removable. So I definitely recommend a button. I use and recommend about 3/4 of an inch to an inch size button. Anything much bigger than that doesn't look great as a center, but you can really use whatever size you want. So the yarn that I used was Lion Brand Made with Love, the Cottony One. This is the color Red Wine. That's the more pinkish color. And this is a cotton and acrylic blend. If you need something in the kitchen that's going to withstand heat, I recommend 100% cotton. But since that's just a flower that's not going to be used, then the cotton and acrylic blend is perfect. I use 2 strands held together of this, and it's just a medium worsted weight yarn. And then for the leaves, the color Olive Twist. And for that kind of purplish color one, Primrose Hill. And then all you need is an H 5mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle to weave your ends in, a stitch marker, a pair of scissors, and then a flexible measuring tape is optional. The gauge isn't huge on this pattern, but if you want to check the size of the rose, I recommend this. I give all the measurements in the pattern. You can also do 1 strand held together, or just one strand. So the original pattern is 2 strands held together. If you want to do 1 strand, you'll get a smaller rose, and I went down 1 hook size. So here's kind of the size difference. I like the 2 strands held together because I wanted it nice and oversized for the towel holder. The 1 strand still looks really cute. So whatever you're comfortable with, the directions are exactly the same. I'm going to get it set up, and we are going to start making this beautiful little rose. Okay, round 1. So I have my 2 strands held together. If you only have 1 skein of yarn, just pull from the center and the outside to get 2 strands held together. We just need a tail long enough to weave our ends in. We take our tail, wrap it around our finger twice to create a magic circle. This is also known as magic ring. And then insert your hook under the loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, and chain 1 to secure. Okay, we're gonna work 1 single crochet into that circle. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. We're going to take our stitch marker, and we're going to mark the back loop only of that first stitch. So here's our first stitch. Okay, that's the front and back loops. This would be front loop only, and then this would be the back loops only. Remember, we have 2 strands held together, so it looks like we have 2 loops on here, but 2 loops counts as only the back loops only, since we have a double strand there. So you take the stitch marker and mark the back loops only. Stitch markers are really important in this pattern because we're going to work in a continuous round, but we're also going to be working in front loops and back loops only. We're going to work in the back loop of this again on round 3. So make sure you use those stitch markers. Okay, so we have 1 single crochet. We want to work 9 more single crochet into that circle for a total of 10 stitches. So again, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 3, 4, 5. If you start running out of room in your circle, just kind of push your stitches over. Okay, so I have my 10 single crochet complete. And now for the center, if you're gonna work it or place it around the button for the towel holder, you need to leave this circle open. So you tighten it just a little bit, have your button kind of handy, and then you need to make sure it fits around the button. You want it to be a little bit loose on the button at first, because when you weave the end in around the center, it's going to tighten up a little bit. So make sure it's a little bit loose and fits very easily around the button. If you are not using the button and you want to close center, just pull the tail all the way tight until the center is completely closed, and then you can weave your end in. So I'm going to tighten this just a little bit more, and then you can go ahead and weave your tail in before you start round 2 if you want. This is worked in a continuous circle, so we're not joining with the slip stitch. So this is what it looks like. You can go ahead and weave the end in. So let me just show you quickly. So I always just go through the center of these loops, and I try to keep it as nice and neat as possible, since the center is going to be showing on the front side when you put it around the button. But I always go back and forth in the opposite direction about 3 times. So there's 1 time, just like that, and you can see it's getting a little bit thicker here, so it's tightening it up a little bit. Okay, and then I go back in the opposite direction. Okay, and then make sure it's still looking nice on the front. And then I go back 1 more time in the opposite direction before I cut it off. You want this really secure because you're going to be swapping it out on those buttons multiple times. You don't want that end falling out. Okay, so just like that, and then go ahead and cut your tail off. And this is what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so round 2, we're going to be working in the front loops only. So we have that back loop marked. Make sure you leave that marked because we're going to work in that back loop, the back loops on round 3. So back loops are marked. Find that front loop and create a single crochet. Okay, so single crochet in the first stitch, and then the next stitch, front loops all the way around, we're going to work 3 double crochet. So this is the first petal of the rose. So if for a double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over, insert your hook in that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, we're going to do 1 more double crochet in that same stitch. Okay, so we're going to repeat that all the way around. Single crochet in the first stitch, 3 double crochet in the next. So the next stitch is going to be just 1 single crochet. Make sure you work only in those front loops. Okay, and then 3 double crochet in the next. So you'll repeat that all the way around, all 10 single crochet from round 1, and you'll have 5 petals total with a single crochet in between each petal. Okay, so it is finished. Round 2 is finished. We should have 5 petals total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just kind of wavy, just like that. Okay, now we're going to be working in that unworked back loop from round 1. See where the marked stitch is? So that's the first stitch that we're going to work in. And do you see all these little loops that it created? We're going to be working in those. Can you see them? It creates kind of that ridge. If it's easier for you, you can mark the last stitch of the round 2 if you have trouble keeping track. Okay, so for this round, we are going to work into that marked stitch a single crochet. So take your hook, get it under there before you move the stitch marker, just so you know you got it in the right spot, and then just work a single crochet. Okay, now that single crochet, we're going to mark the back loop only again. So here's that single crochet we just created. Here's the front loops only, and here's the back loops only. Mark the back loop only. So this pattern is a little bit harder than the daisy and the sunflower just because you're working into those front loops and marking front loops and back loops. It's a little tricky, but I swear once you get the hang of it and do 1 or 2, it'll come together and you'll figure it out really easily. Okay, so find the back loop of the next stitch and single crochet. We're going to work a single crochet all the way around for a total of 10 stitches. So you should have a total of 10 back loops because we did 10 stitches in round 1. Okay, so this is kind of what it's looking like. So just finish those 10 stitches and then I'll meet you back here for the next round. Okay, this is what the front looks like. The back looks like this. It kind of looks funny, but that's what you want it to look like. Those single crochet we created this tight little round, just like that. That's what we want it to look like. Okay, so we have the marked stitch right here. The back loops are marked. We're gonna work in the front loops only, just like we did in round 2. Okay, so I finished my last single crochet right here. This is kind of what it looks like. We're gonna move right over here to working in the front loops only. This round is gonna be a round of the petals again. Okay, so we're gonna work 4 double crochet in that first stitch. Let me try to get that stitch marker kind of out of the way. Okay, so double crochet into that first stitch, front loop only. Okay, and then do 3 more double crochet into that same stitch. It's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's the first petal. Then the next front loop only. Let me show you this a little bit better. So this is the next stitch. It's the single crochet from the previous round, front loops only. You're gonna work a single crochet. Okay, and then the next stitch, 4 double crochet. So you just repeat 4 double crochet and then a single crochet all the way around. And again, you will have 5 total petals. Okay, then the next stitch, a single crochet. You could kind of take your finger and push that work down so you can get into there. Okay, so just repeat the 4 double crochet in one stitch and then a single crochet in the next stitch all the way around until you have your 5 total petals made. Okay, so round 4 is complete. This is what the front looks like, and this is what the back looks like. Do you see all those little ridges? That's the back loop only from round 3, where we marked the stitch. We're gonna work in those again. Okay, so this is what the front looks like. Find that marked stitch, that back loop only. Hoping you can see this, it's hard to show on camera. Okay, so we're gonna work a single crochet in that marked stitch. So once you have your hook in it, you can go ahead and remove that. So work a single crochet into that stitch and then mark both loops of that single crochet. You don't have to mark front or back, just mark the entire stitch. Okay, we're gonna work one more single crochet into that same back loop. Okay, and then we're gonna work 2 single crochet in the back loops, those little ridges. It's the back loops from round 3, 2 single crochet in each of those all the way around. And we'll have a total of 20 single crochet. Okay, so there's 2. Hold on, I have a little knot in my yarn. There you go. Okay, and then just keep going all the way around. Find those back loops. It's kind of hard to show you on camera those back loops because the flower wants to curl up. Okay. Okay, so just repeat that all the way around for 20 single crochet. Okay, round 5 is complete. This is what it looks like. It's fine if everything seems to be curling forward a little bit. This is what round 5 looks like. This is what it looks like on the back. It's totally normal for it to have that ridge. It's gonna flatten out on round 6. So round 6 is our final round. So find that marked stitch, and we're gonna work 5 double crochet into that marked stitch. So double crochet, mark the first double crochet with a stitch marker under all the loops. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that's the first petal. We're gonna skip the next stitch. So that stitch right there, skip, slip stitch into the next stitch. Okay, and then skip the next stitch right here. Okay, and then we're just gonna repeat that sequence all the way around. So 5 double crochet in the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So petal number 2. Okay, skip that next stitch, slip stitch in the next stitch. So skip that one, slip stitch in the next one, and then skip the next one. So we'll skip that one and then work the 5 double crochet for the 3rd petal in the next. So repeat that sequence all the way around. You'll have a total of 5 petals again. Okay, I just completed the last petal on round 6. You'll see I have 3 stitches left. We skip the next stitch, slip stitch in the next stitch, and then that last stitch is skipped. So this is what it looks like. It should have flattened out on the back, just like that, and it should be sitting more flat now. And this is what it looks like. You can kind of adjust it. and you have a really pretty rose. So we are going to finish off with the invisible join method. So just cut your yarn, leaving a tail long enough to weave your end in, pull that yarn through, and then get your tapestry needle. Okay, so for the invisible join, we're going to find that first stitch of the round, the stitch that we marked. Okay, we're going to insert our needle under all the loops from the front to the back of the work, just like that. Okay, and then find the last stitch of the round right here. And you go under the back loop only. So this would be the front loop. This is the back loop. And from the front of your work to the back, you just pull, and it creates a faux loop that matches the rest of the loops to give a seamless join. So just pull tight enough to where the loops, those little faux stitches that you created, are about the same size as the rest of them. And then you just continue to weave your tail in. So I'm going to weave that in off camera, but like I mentioned before, I always go back and forth in the opposite direction about 3 times before I cut it off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to set up to do the leaves. Okay, so the flower is completed. This is what it looks like. The back should be nice and flat now. It's kind of what it looks like. And now we're going to do the leaves. They're worked separately. It's the exact same leaves I did on the daisy and the sunflower. So if you turn the flower around, you'll see there's kind of these little areas on the back, these like little horizontal bars. It's not a stitch, it's just kind of how the pattern formed in the back. So we're going to insert our hook into one of those horizontal bars to form our leaves. So I like to put the leaves in between the leaves so they kind of pop through. So let's see. So you can kind of find where you want one. You'll do the leaves on the opposite side. So let's insert our hook right there. Okay, and then we're just going to join the green yarn or the yarn for your leaf. So just take your hook, put the yarn on just like that, and kind of pull up a loop just like that. Okay, and now we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. Okay, we're going to secure this end later, so don't worry if it feels a little weird for now. Okay, so chain 2. Now every stitch I'm about to show you is going to work in that same bar that we joined the yarn in. So a double crochet first. Okay, and now we're going to work 2 triple crochet. So triple, you yarn over twice, insert your hook under that same bar, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, one more triple. Pull through 2 loops, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that is one side of our leaf. Now we're going to do what's called a chain 2 picot. You chain 2. Okay, and then the first chain you created or the second chain from the hook right here, we're going to work a slip stitch, but we're going to work in the back hump. So that right there would be both loops. If you turn it slightly, you'll see how it creates kind of that back hump right here. You want to create a slip stitch in those back humps. So sometimes it can be kind of hard to get your hook into that hump. I got it. Okay. And that creates kind of the tip of the leaf. Okay, now we're going to work 2 triple in that same stitch. So yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. One more. Okay, and after the 2 triple crochets, we're going to do a double crochet. Okay, and then chain 2, and then slip stitch in that same little horizontal bar that we worked everything into. Okay, and that is what the leaf should look like. Okay, so now we're gonna fasten off. So take your tail and fasten off and just leave a tail long enough to weave the end in. Make sure everything is looking good on the front, that your leaf is peeking through just a little bit, kind of like that. And then I just kind of position it, get it in place, and then I use my ends to kind of hold it in place. So when you're weaving the ends in, just like I've showed you before, I always go back and forth in the opposite direction about 3 times, but you can kind of like position your leaf and use the end to kind of tack it down in place a little bit better. So if it looks kind of twisted, if it's kind of wonky over there, just place it where it needs to be, and then just weave the tails in. Just like that. Okay. Again, go back and forth a few times. And let me go one more time on this side. Okay, once you think you have it pretty good, you can cut the tail off. I'm going kind of fast for the camera, so you might want to take your time a little bit more when weaving the ends in, but that's pretty much the gist of it. So go ahead and just take the other end and do the same thing. Just, you can tack it down in the corner if you want, and then you just make a second leaf on the opposite side and you attach it and do the exact same pattern. So I would probably go right over here. So just find that a horizontal bar on that side. So about right here. So you'd find like the little horizontal bar on that side. I'd probably attach it about right there and just do the exact same thing and weave the ends in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish that off camera. All right, we are all set. Isn't that adorable? As always, the full pattern is gonna be linked on my blog below. I'll also link the rest of the flower patterns so you can change them out. And I can't wait to see what projects you guys make with your flowers. Please let me know in the comments what you want to see next. I was thinking maybe a poinsettia for the holiday. Any ideas are greatly appreciated. Have a great day, you guys.